All right, what's up, guys? Today we're going to take a look at Alex's labs after starting the carnivore diet for a few months now. So, yeah, Alex, why don't you explain a bit how your diet's been?
Yeah, so at the end of June, I was having some autoimmune issues. I used to have a bunch of eczema, stuff like that. I was having some digestion issues. So I wanted to do a bit of an experiment doing carnivore, but for a prolonged time. Like I only did for like a month last year. But this time I want to do like at least a couple months. So I started that literally July 1st. So I got blood work just before that. And then today marks 5 months doing carnivore. But then my blood work on the right here is just over 4 months after. So you can see on the left, this is my blood work, June 30th, release July 1st, and then on the right, November 6th. So yeah, just over 4 months. So we're gonna compare these two and see what sort of effects that carnivore has had on my blood work because at least from my experience and a lot of anecdotal um, evidence from other people, carnivore can work to kind of put their autoimmune issues into remission. But then some people run into problems after being in it longer term, which I've started to experience some of those already. But we'll see how it's reflected in the blood work. So
For
start off
sure,
here.
yeah. So, how's your diet changed? Why don't you explain that a bit first, right? You eat mostly beef, eggs, and dairy now, right?
Yeah. So before I was doing just like typical animal based, like meat, some organs, fruit, honey, raw dairy, and then switching to just carnivore was just pretty much beef, eggs, butter, some seafood, and some dairy, like a mix of like yogurt, kefir, some cheese, but not really many carbs either as well. If there's
Right.
any, it's coming from the milk, which might be like, let's say even I was having like a liter a day, it's max like 40 grams of carbs. But for the most part, it was kefir that I was drinking. So it's fermented most lactose, so not
Yeah.
much left.
So, you're pretty fat adapted
Yeah.
on a ketogenic diet, which, like a lot of our audience into bodybuilding is never something I would recommend.
Mm.
But if you have some autoimmune issues, we're going to see today how it compares in your blood work after
Yeah.
5 months of that.
And especially like right off the bat, there was a bit of an adjustment period for the performance of my workouts. Like my workouts were ass to begin with. Then maybe
They're
like,
better now?
yeah, maybe a month in they were better. And then I was able to kind of like continue progressing. But now I feel like I've almost hit like a wall. So I'm excited reintroducing carbs, like how it's going to affect my performance.
Carbs are definitely very important for performance and
Yeah.
recovery, despite what the blood
Mm.
work might say. Just, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, so
let's see.
yeah, so far here, like the blood count for everything, pretty good. Nothing abnormal, normal levels.
Something you might assume would be like, well, you're still getting uh, a lot of the same nutrients like iron and folate, B12.
Yeah.
So something you might see on carnivore diet is blood viscosity going up or hematocrit rising, but
So my
your
hematocrit was
hematocrit is
barely
exactly the
higher.
same.
On the
Is
left,
it?
the first one
Oh
is
wait, oh, I'm
4.48,
reading the
and on the right it's
wrong sheet.
0.49 here.
So yeah, really not a
Pretty
huge
much the
change.
same, yeah. And then I have my fasting glucose on both of them, I'm pretty sure. So my fasting glucose actually went up. So on the left here, it's 4.7 millimoles, I think that is, per liter. And then on the right, it's 5.1. So it actually went up, which is interesting.
Interesting, yeah. Well, you're fat adapted, right?
Mm.
Insulin's always low. Is your fasted insulin on here? That's more of a
Um,
marker of metabolic, like
can't remember if
flexibility,
I got
really.
that.
I don't think you have fasted insulin.
I think I just got fasting glucose. I have
It doesn't tell you too much, but
HbA1c, I think it's called.
yeah, that'd be a long-term indicator
Yeah.
of glucose control.
Creatinine, I'm pretty sure before I was taking creatine and then I stopped as well because I was already having like 2 pounds of red meat a day, so I figured like, why even bother with it?
For
And
actual creatine,
yeah, my creatinine levels actually went up.
yeah, because right, it's a waste product if you're taking
Yeah,
excess creatine. Your
98
creatine
to
can go up.
104, which is interesting. And when I stopped taking creatine, like I didn't even notice a difference, like drop in like size, weight, strength, anything like that. So
Yeah, personally, I don't notice much from taking it. I know studies say it works. Everyone tells you to take it. I personally, like, if I come off it ever, I just take it because I'm told to, basically.
yeah,
Um, could be some supplement company propaganda,
could
but
be.
studies show it works, so I'll trust that.
Well, also if you
I don't
think
really see
about,
a reason not to take it.
yeah, if you think about like a typical gym bro diet, it's like chicken, rice, and broccoli, so they're not really getting that much creatine from like red meat and stuff, you know?
Yeah,
But
you
even
know,
before,
a
I was
lot of
having like a
people they're
pound.
they're scared of like their hematocrit going up or something from too much red meat. But just because you have the nutrients doesn't necessarily stimulate more red blood cell
Mm,
creation. So yeah, I would definitely recommend eating red meat, even not on a carnivore diet, just
mm.
for these nutrients like creatine. That is probably more bioavailable than creatine monohydrate.
Let's take a look at
The lipids,
cholesterol here and the lipids, yeah. So my cholesterol actually went up. It's supposedly out of range, a little higher, even beforehand. It was 5.39, and then it went up a little to 5.46, which is say anything over 5.2
yeah,
is considered high.
definitely expected on carnivore.
Yeah,
Obviously, you're eating a lot of saturated fat and your insulin is constantly low. So your LDL receptor activity is going to be lower. So obviously, LDL
yeah. You know
will be
what's
higher.
interesting about that though is then on the second blood work, my triglycerides actually went down to
That
0.49.
makes a lot of sense actually because you're fat adapted. So yeah, triglycerides make a lot of sense to go down on carnivore,
Why?
right? Because you're fat adapted.
So you're
Like
like running through it
triglyceride,
quicker.
yeah,
Mm. And I guess it'd kind of be the reverse for like fasting glucose. You know what I mean? Like my fasting glucose went up, whereas before it was lower.
possibly. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
kind of like
That's
an
not really
inverse
like
relationship.
a huge indicator. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, then my HDL before was 1.47, and then after it was 1.32. They say HDL's good and LDL's bad, right? So
that's
those
what
are
they
both in
say.
range, but then my LDL went up.
Yeah,
Before 3.63, and then afterwards 3.94. Yeah, I mean, it didn't go up that much, but it's like they make LDL seem like the devil. You know what I mean? Have you seen those studies
there's
where
more factors that. Yeah, it's
it's not LDL by itself, it's like in conjunction with other metrics? I know like
true.
HbA1c is also another one to take into account with the LDL. But what I was saying is they have some, obviously, it's associative studies, right? But what they found
Hmm.
with a lot of these like longevity people, like that live long, is that they all what they have in common is that they have high LDL. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So obviously that's not to say that like LDL is what's making them live long, but it definitely should raise an eyebrow for you on,
Yeah.
you know,
Personally, I can't really speak on it. I haven't read enough studies,
yeah,
but yeah, they say the uh, large companies really made you believe that LDL causes heart disease and risk for a heart attack when in reality, the main culprit for that is sugar in your diet.
yeah, processed sugar. It's not fruit and honey doing that to you. I can guarantee you that. Since the 1950, when Ansel Keys and Crisco convinced everyone to use
Hmm.
margarine instead of butter, and
That
then
is definitely worse. You
and
can
then
never convince
AMA
me.
was funded by Crisco.
Yeah, like hypothetically, the fatty acid profile of acetic oil may lead to, better health effects in your blood work. But really, you look at where that food is coming from and where butter comes from and what your diet should really be. You know, you don't need to show me a study to know that some lab produced food is going to be less healthy than a fat that comes from an animal that we're supposed to be eating.
Yeah, like guys, we can literally go over all the blood work here. These are literally just all man-made numbers and metrics. But at the end of the day, you take a look how seed oils were made and how butter's made. It's like butter's completely natural. So you milk the cow, right? And then the
Yeah.
cream separates. You pour it off, and then you shake it in a bottle, and then you have butter forming like a clump. Whereas seed oils,
Right.
picture like I don't know, let's just say sunflower oil. They're picking thousands and thousands of sunflowers, cracking open the seeds, getting the seeds, then they're like pressing them, deodorizing, bleaching, doing this entire like factory process. And then they put it in a plastic bottle, sits on the shelf for ages, oxidizes in the bottle. Meanwhile, it has tons of times before during the process. And then they fry your food in it days on end in like fast food restaurants and shit like that too.
Oxidizing it even further.
Yeah. So
So,
it's
you
like
know, you can go over the entire fatty acid profile, all these numbers, but just that fact right there shows me like what you should be eating
it's just
as a human
it's just
being.
logic, bro. You don't need a study for that or metrics, common sense.
Yeah,
You shouldn't even be
for
eating
sure.
seeds, let alone the oil from them. It's so potent and concentrated, it's not natural. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
it for the
Yeah,
what do
some
you call it there? The
electrolytes, some
lipids.
nutrients.
Yeah, we got
They're in a different order, right?
yeah, I think so.
B12 has gone up a lot.
Hmm. My
Makes sense.
B12 is always off the charts when I get measured. I think it's from
Makes sense. You store
just
B12. It's in
just the
a
beef
lot of
and
it,
the
a lot of
liver.
beef, eggs, right?
Yeah.
Ferritin is in a good range, so that makes a lot of sense because beef has lots of iron, but when you look at fortified grains and cereals, they also have lots of iron, even though it's a different type. That's non-heme iron, and your body really can't do anything with that. It can also drive up ferritin. So lots of people who argue, oh, beef is so bad, it's going to drive up your ferritin, drive up your hematocrit, lead to more blood viscosity. Well, no, because your body actually knows what to do with the iron from beef.
Because it's real,
Yeah,
not
your body
synthetic.
can use it much better and promote healthy red blood cell production and not overproduce it, not be over concentrated in your blood. So you're in a healthy range despite all the beef that you eat,
Yeah.
which is good. It's
Literally
actually
here,
gone
it's like
down.
it's less than mid-range. Yeah, it's gone down slightly after eating 2+ pounds of beef per day for several months on end. But beef is, they say high in iron and stuff, but it's gonna be bad for you. Then why has it gone down? You know what I mean? Like your body
Yeah.
knows what to do with it.
Another interesting one you might not expect is sodium has gone up.
Yeah.
When insulin is low, you excrete more sodium. So you've likely been consuming more sodium, or your aldosterone has balanced it in a way that
It's
you
it's
basically
gone
kept
up
a very
very
similar
slightly, but
amount of
not
sodium.
much. But what I
Yeah,
did notice, like with electrolytes, is
potassium is up too. Like that's good.
I wasn't peeing as much, or feeling. I would be thirsty, but I wouldn't like want to drink. I don't know if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like I'd feel thirsty,
Yeah,
but when I drink water, I wouldn't feel like my thirst wouldn't be quenched. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like my body wanted carbs or something to be able to hold on to the electrolytes. And each time I'd pee,
mm,
like my pee would be like dark as hell. I think that's one from not drinking enough water and getting enough hydration through like fruit and stuff, but then also the proper electrolytes.
more electrolyte excretion
Yeah,
possibly.
because I wasn't able to hold on
Alkaline
to them.
phosphatase is a liver enzyme that's gone up. Um, that just should be normal. Um, another, yeah, the
What's interesting is my TSH
you know,
actually went up.
TSH went up.
Yeah, which is almost what you'd think would be the opposite because carbs are supposed to raise your thyroid levels, right?
Yeah,
Like
well, your
red
liver
blood
enzymes,
production.
like I was saying, they stayed the same, which, yeah, we don't really need to go into that.
Yeah.
T3 would expectedly be lower on carnivore. We don't have your T3 and T4, so
Yeah,
it's kind of
they
hard to know.
they wouldn't
But
let me measure it. But my
right,
this is
so
what I looked at before. My HbA1c went up. So it's 4.9 before, and then I went up to 5.2. And I'm pretty sure 6 and over is like diabetic or pre-diabetic.
interesting, it went up. You're
I think
because
it's
that's about a
because I've become
3 month
less
like
insulin
blood glucose
sensitive.
control
What's that?
marker. It's about a 3 month blood glucose control marker,
Yeah.
is what I'm pretty sure. So interesting, yeah.
I didn't get my cortisol tested on the second one, but on the first one it was in range. This was morning cortisol. So this is the range here, and then it was 375.
And I mean that's always going to change based on your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I would assume with carnivore it would go up because carbs and sugar are very anti-cortisol.
Yeah.
So you said you noticed your sleep kind of take a hit too. That could be another sign of cortisol
Yeah.
being elevated on
Like-
carnivore, which would make sense.
Like my entire night's duration would be decently fine, but I'd find myself like tossing and turning more often, almost like sleep disturbances, you know.
Yeah,
But
lots of things can go into that. That could be cortisol, and it could be from less carbs, really. Well, carbs will decrease your cortisol.
yeah, I was reading into one of Carnivore Realis's posts before, and he was saying that that can tend to happen on carnivore because
Makes sense.
your liver will have full glycogen or whatever from like gluconeogenesis, but then in the middle of the night it will almost run out, so it kind of like wakes you up as it starts to produce more or something like that. So that could be a part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have progesterone in your other one or SHBG.
Not in my first one, but I was talking to my brother about progesterone. Essentially, that's like the building block for all of your steroid hormones. Like after.
So cholesterol gets converted to progesterone, then
Yeah.
it takes three routes. So androgens, glucocorticoids, and mineralocorticoids. So progesterone leads to all steroid hormones like cortisol, which is your stress hormone, aldosterone, which regulates fluid retention, like we're talking about sodium, and androgens, like testosterone, basically that entire pathway. So that's basically the raw substrate for all steroid hormones after cholesterol. So it has gone up because you're probably eating a lot more cholesterol, which makes sense.
Yeah, but
Now,
even
is
then,
it
it's not
necessarily
even
going
that
to
high out of the
androgens?
range.
What?
Even then, it's not that high out of the range. Like it's says anything over 0.7 is considered high, and it's 0.8. So it's
I
not
mean,
that
I
bad.
wouldn't say it's like dangerous to be high or anything,
Yeah.
but is it necessarily going to androgens? Well, if your cortisol is higher from not eating carbs, it could be going more to glucocorticoids and catecholamines rather than androgens. That's a big reason that cortisol will decrease testosterone because they're made from the same thing.
Yeah.
So if your adrenocorticotropic hormone is higher, you're going to be stimulating more cortisol secretion rather than testosterone from the raw substrate. So, but that's not an issue because your testosterone, as we can see, is in a good range.
Yeah. Before it's 2.68 nanomoles per liter, and then after 2.46. So I'm pretty sure in nanograms per deciliter. Before it was like 780-ish, and then after I'm pretty sure that's like low 700s. I think it was like 720 or something when I checked
Which is
before.
good. Now, what matters more is the free testosterone.
Yeah, so I didn't have that before, but even after, it's still pretty high. Like the range is 160 to 699,
Yeah,
and it's 612, which is pretty good.
which is good
Especially
because
for
something
free
you see on
tests.
carnivore is SHBG go up, which
Yeah.
basically binds to the total testosterone, which reduces the free testosterone. And free testosterone, if you didn't know, it basically is the testosterone that binds to the androgen receptor, and that's why it is actually anabolic. But total testosterone doesn't do that. So people brag about having high total testosterone on carnivore diet, but their SHBG is through the roof. So they have no free testosterone because it's all bound up by SHBG. But as we see, that's not the case for you because both your SHBG and free testosterone are in a normal range.
Yeah, like I know some people they'll have like over 1,000 total, but then they don't show their SHBG, so it's like makes you wonder how much of that is actually like usable. You know what I mean? Like they could just have a high
Yeah,
total, but then their free is low because their SHBG is high. You know what I mean?
exactly.
It's like there's
But yeah,
still even huge guys who like they might have like say like 500 total, but like then their free testosterone's like very high. So it's not like their total T's that low in general.
yeah, but yeah, that's the main issue with carnivore and testosterone is high SHBG
Yeah.
and higher cortisol. So that could be decreasing testosterone. That is a main reason that carbs will increase your testosterone actually.
Mm.
But yeah, we kind of skipped over LH and FSH, but they're normal. So
Yeah, I didn't
your
have them
vesicles
from
are working
before to
well, your
compare, so
hypothalamus. Yeah,
yeah, my FSH seems kind of low. I think some of those also depend on what like cycle they are in throughout the day. You know what I mean? Like FSH is probably a lot higher at
right.
nighttime if I had to guess, because then it's producing testosterone overnight. So it probably has like a
Yeah,
rhythm throughout the day. You know what I mean? So I could be wrong, but I'm just assuming that.
same with testosterone. It would be higher in the morning.
Yeah, peaks in the morning. That's what I got this blood work
Circadian
done
rhythm.
like 2 hours after waking up because I had to like wait in the
Yeah,
BMS line.
I actually got my, uh, I was just at the lab the other day, so I'll probably have my results soon. But I was getting my blood drawn at like 10 a.m.,
Yeah.
which is like a while after I wake up.
So your test could
So
be
who knows, my
lowered, right?
test could be plummeted.
Yeah.
Especially after competing, I'm kind of worried I might see like a low number. You know what I mean?
Could be. We'll find out. Another thing
Yeah.
here, I don't know why it was showed differently here, but before CRP, are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
It's like an inflammation marker. So
Did you get
C-reactive
that on
protein,
the second test?
yeah, it's in the middle here. So
I would
it stayed
assume
the same.
inflammation might go down on
Yeah,
carnivore.
but it's about the same. It's
Yeah.
not that it was high to begin with or something, but the level stayed the same. So it's just something
hmm Something
interesting
that
to know.
happens when you take plants and like gluten out of the diet is that,
Yeah,
white blood cells may go down because your immune system is less reactive to these things because uh, they basically put a stress on your immune system eating vegetables, which is a reason people argue that they might be healthy for you because, like, oh, same as working out, right? Working out places a stress, so you adapt to it. So, oh, eating vegetables and gluten would be a stress. You can adapt to it, but yeah, it really causes inflammation. So, that would be a reason you could see inflammation go down on a carnivore diet.
yeah, it wasn't too high to begin with, at least for the CRP. I was doing some sourdough like earlier this year in like March and April, but that was a few months before the test on the left. So maybe at that point it might have been a little higher, but even then it's sourdough, right? So it's lower in gluten because it's fermented. So I don't know how much of a difference that would have
Yeah.
made, but it's still not the best, even though it's fermented, you know?
The main thing for bread with me would be the synthetic nutrients like folic acid. And like I was talking about, uh, like ferric oxide or synthetic iron
Hmm.
that your body can't absorb. That's the main issue because all cereal grains and white flour is basically mandated by law to be fortified in Canada.
Yeah, that's why when I was
So even
making
if it's
it,
sourdough, you're still getting that.
yeah, it depends what type of flour you're using. I was using whole wheat flour, but then I'm getting it's worse but better in a sense
So
because you get rid of all the synthetic vitamins and stuff that it's fortified with, like if you're having white flour. But then if you have whole wheat, you're also getting the whole outer shell and brand of the wheat. So you're getting more like plant defense chemicals, heavy metals, and shit like that with that.
could disrupt your gut,
Yeah,
right?
it's a lot higher in fiber too,
Yeah,
and gluten, I'm pretty sure.
gluten, I would assume like protein and
Yeah, because
the
it's higher
omega
in
the
fiber
omega
and
six
protein in the
fats,
brand.
not necessarily the worst thing.
Yeah.
I would say synthetic nutrients are worse for your health.
But yeah, to kind of wrap it up, like you know, the levels seem decent on both of them, but the big actually like real world takeaway in my experience with it is
Eat
like,
carbs.
yeah, eat carbs. That's why I literally just started eating them
Yep.
today. I was honey macking this morning, dates,
Back
uh,
on the carb crusade.
little bit of mango.
Gotta make some gains.
Yeah, but the biggest change for me that obviously I'll hope to fix now, but like going through that period of carnivore like for 4 or 5 months now, like my sleep was definitely taking a hit. Like I was telling you, just tossing and turning a few times throughout the night, and my performance in the gym. It was bad at first, but then once I got like fat adapted, it got better, and I was able to make progress. But then towards the end, maybe the fourth month or so, and now it's just been like kind of ass. Like you don't have that like oomph in your workouts compared to like when you have carbs. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And like you
yeah,
feel so depleted. It's like hitting a wall
that is how I felt on
on
bodybuilding
your
prep.
prep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Any bodybuilder can relate.
Mm.
Usually because, right, you're lacking carbs. Same exact thing.
Yeah.
Now, it's not necessarily no carb. I try to stay as high carb as possible the entire time, but eventually you get depleted. So, key takeaway, yeah, is carbs are super important
Yeah.
for your health, your hormones, your gym performance, and everything. Carnivore is a bit of an extreme diet, so it can be beneficial to reduce your inflammation. Like you said, if you're dealing with autoimmune issues, fix your gut microbiome perhaps by, right? Why don't you talk a bit about the endotoxins? I don't really understand that.
Yeah, that's another thing too, like reasoning why I was doing it. Like my stools were inconsistent, and obviously a lot of that has to do with what you're eating, but then also your gut microbiome. So if you're eating, it's obviously more of an effect when you're having like processed sugar and stuff like that, like high fructose corn syrup. But even fruit and honey can have some play in that too. Especially there's something called FODMAPs, where it's like fermentable sugars in your gut. So as they're fermenting, you're creating more and more of this bacteria. And anytime some of the bacteria dies off, it releases endotoxins, which is essentially just like inflammation in your gut. It's like the bacteria dies and just releases toxins in your gut, which you don't want happening. So just reducing like fruit and honey for that period of time and doing carnivore, that was kind of like my reasoning behind it to try and reduce that. You know what I mean? Reset my
Yeah,
microbiome. That's why I was doing a lot of kefir. Add in the good ones that are more like lactic acid based rather than fermenting on like fruit and honey in my gut. Just a reset, putting in more good bacteria, and then hopefully now as I'm reintroducing stuff, it'll kind of stabilize and stay that way. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, now that you get those short chain fatty acids for the bacteria that you want to be
Yeah.
feeding on them is much healthier.
Especially the fiber, that's one of the biggest things too, right? Because you can't
Yeah,
digest fiber,
fiber.
so some of it will
Yeah,
just go
there's
through, and then
lots of short
some will
chain fatty
ferment.
acids
Yeah.
in the lower intestine,
Mm-hmm.
which really is important for gut health. But yeah, like you said, there could be pathogens and things like that you could get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah, like Liam said, kind of key takeaway is like if nothing's wrong, continue having carbs, fruit, honey, maybe some starches like white rice or sweet potatoes, probably the best sources. But if you have like
Sure.
autoimmune diseases or a lot of inflammation, using carnivore is like, let's say like a 90 month, 60 to 90 day kind of reset, 2 3 months, that could do some good. But then it's not like a long term option unless you have like severe autoimmune disease like Michaela
I would even
Pearson or something.
recommend fasting as another option.
Yeah.
Not even a period of carnivore, but you could probably get a similar effect from doing a water fast or even limiting water because as you oxidize fatty acids, your body produces water
Hmm.
essentially.
Yeah.
So fasting or carnivore are great tools for fixing your gut microbiome, reducing inflammation, but long term for health and performance and your hormones,
Yeah.
definitely consider eating a higher carb diet.
For sure. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the end of the video. Our links for coaching are in the description if you're interested, and also our Instagram. So check that out. See ya.
Yep.